In 1982, a group of businessmen had a brilliant idea. What if there was more football? Not fall football, not NFL football, spring football. A whole new league, playing in the gap when the NFL was on holiday. Brilliant. Foolproof. What could go wrong? Everything. Everything went wrong. This is the story of the United States Football League, the most promising new sports league in American history, and the man who accidentally destroyed it trying to steal it. To understand what happened, we need to meet David Dixon. David Dixon was a New Orleans antiques dealer who had one very good idea and one very specific obsession: football.
What if there was football in the spring?
David, there's no football in the spring for a reason.
What reason?
People watch baseball in the spring.
People would watch football instead.
You don't know that.
I hired a marketing firm to find out. They agreed with me.
You hired someone to tell you you were right?
I hired someone to check if I was right, and they confirmed it. Different thing.
Dixon had been thinking about this since 1965. For 15 years, he studied every previous attempt to compete with the NFL. The AFL, which had eventually merged with the NFL. The World Football League, which had collapsed in embarrassment. He took notes on what worked and what didn't. Then he came up with what he called the Dixon Plan. The Dixon Plan was simple and actually quite clever. Play in the spring, not the fall. Don't try to steal NFL stars. Find young talent the NFL had overlooked. Keep salaries low. Keep costs controlled. Build slowly. Let the NFL have autumn. Own spring.
We won't compete with the NFL. We'll complement it. Football fans want more football. We give them more football in the only months there isn't any.
That actually makes sense.
I know.
I'm surprised.
Thank you.
In May 1982, Dixon stood in a room at the 21 Club in New York City, surrounded by 12 team owners, and announced the United States Football League to the world. He had TV deals with ABC and ESPN already signed. Stadiums lined up. 12 teams across major American cities. The plan was real. The money was there. And in March 1983, the USFL played its first ever game. And here is the part of the story that usually gets skipped over because it complicates the narrative. The USFL was actually good. The first season pulled in 2.7 million fans. TV ratings were solid. The football was fast and creative. Coaches were encouraged to experiment, throw the ball more, try things the conservative NFL wouldn't. And the talent was extraordinary. The USFL signed Herschel Walker, the 1982 Heisman Trophy winner, directly out of college. Then Doug Flutie. Then Reggie White, Jim Kelly, Steve Young, future Hall of Famers, playing spring football for a league that, by all reasonable metrics, was actually working.
Are we worried?
No, it's spring football. Nobody watches spring football.
2.7 million people watched spring football.
Nobody important watches spring football.
It is September 22nd, 1983. The USFL's first season has just finished. Things are going reasonably well. And into this functioning, promising, carefully constructed league walks one Donald J. Trump. Trump bought the New Jersey Generals, the USFL team that played in the shadow of New York City, for a price he later claimed was so low it was almost insulting to mention. He was immediately the most famous owner in the league. He put his name on everything. He gave interviews constantly. He acquired Herschel Walker by paying him considerably more than anyone else.
Trump, we have a salary cap. You can't just...
Herschel Walker is going to be a general.
The cap is...
He's going to be great, the best, a beautiful player. The Generals are going to be the best team in the league.
We all agreed to the cap.
I'm going to put his name on a tower.
But Trump's real goal wasn't to run a spring football team. His real goal was to own an NFL franchise. He had tried to buy the Baltimore Colts before joining the USFL and been rebuffed. The NFL had 28 teams and none of them were for sale to him. So Trump had a different idea, a bigger idea.
What if the USFL moved to the fall?
What?
Fall football. We play in the fall, head-to-head with the NFL.
Trump, that would destroy us. We're a spring league. That's the whole point.
It would force the NFL to merge with us. And then we'd all have NFL teams worth $70 million each.
Or it would just destroy us.
I don't think so.
I do think so.
I disagree.
I hired a consulting firm. They say, stay in the spring.
I hired a different feeling about it.
John Bassett, owner of the Tampa Bay Bandits and the most vocal opponent of Trump's plan, said publicly that Trump's strategy would put us all out of business. He wasn't wrong, but Bassett had another problem. He was dying of brain cancer. As his health deteriorated, the league's loudest voice of reason got quieter, and Trump's lobbying got louder. One by one, Trump convinced the other owners. He painted a picture of NFL-level revenues, NFL-level fame, NFL-level everything. All they had to do was move to the fall and sue the NFL for being a monopoly.
We sue the NFL for monopolizing TV contracts. Antitrust law. We get $1.3 billion, tripled to $4 billion under the law. And we use that money to compete in the fall.
What if we don't get $4 billion?
We'll get it.
But what if we don't?
We'll get it.
Okay, but hypothetically, in the scenario where
We will get it.
In August 1984, the USFL owners voted 12-2 in favor of moving to the fall. The Dixon Plan, the careful, sensible, working plan that had built a real league from nothing, was dead. David Dixon himself resigned in disgust and sold his franchise. And from that moment, the countdown began. The moment the USFL announced it was moving to the fall, things started breaking. When you play in the fall, you play in the same cities as NFL teams. And NFL teams had a habit of being very important to those cities. Very important indeed.
We can't play in Pittsburgh in the fall. We'd be competing with the Steelers. The Steelers have won 4 Super Bowls. I'm going to fold the team.
We'll be fine.
We'd be competing with the Lions. We're going to merge with Oakland.
We'll be fine.
we've been forced out of New Orleans, we're moving to Portland, Oregon, our 3rd city in 3 years.
We'll be fine.
We were going to pay you $175 million for 4 more years of spring football. But you're in the fall now, competing with our NFL contract. So we're out.
We'll be
$175 million. Gone.
We'll be fine.
The USFL had turned down $175 million in guaranteed television money to pursue a fall schedule that had no television deal attached to it. ESPN said they would broadcast games. But ESPN in 1986 was a young, small cable network, not the broadcasting giant it would become. Without major network TV money, the entire financial model of the league collapsed. Teams were losing money at an alarming rate. Multiple franchises folded outright. Others merged just to survive. The league that had once had 18 teams was now planning a fall 1986 season with 8. And those 8 teams were betting everything on one thing: the lawsuit. In October 1984, the USFL filed an antitrust lawsuit against the National Football League in federal court in New York. They claimed the NFL had illegally monopolized professional football by pressuring television networks not to broadcast USFL games. They asked for $1.3 billion, which under antitrust law would automatically triple to almost $4 billion.
The NFL is an illegal monopoly. They pressured ABC, CBS, and NBC to exclude us from their networks. Under the Sherman Antitrust Act, we are entitled to damages.
$4 billion. I'm going to get $4 billion from the NFL.
That is the maximum possible if we win everything.
$4 billion.
There's a range of...
I'm going to frame the check.
The NFL hired a lawyer named Paul Tagliabue. This is important because Paul Tagliabue was not exciting. He was precise. He was methodical. He arrived at court with color-coded binders and an unhurried demeanor, while the USFL arrived with celebrity lawyers and television cameras. Reporters noted that Tagliabue never raised his voice. He didn't need to. The trial began in May 1986 and lasted 42 days. And it was during the trial that the NFL revealed what they were really going to argue. They weren't just defending the NFL. They were putting Trump himself on trial.
The USFL's problems were not caused by the NFL. The USFL's problems were caused by the USFL, specifically by the decision to move to the fall, specifically by the man who pushed that decision.
Me?
You publicly stated, and I'm quoting here, that you wanted an NFL team. You admitted the plan was to force a merger. You paid waiters at your hotels to spy on NFL owners. You hijacked this league for personal gain.
I was going to get them all $70 million franchises.
And instead, they have 8 teams playing to no television contract.
The plan is still working.
Trump took the stand on June 23, 1986. His testimony was, by most accounts, exactly what you would expect. Boastful, combative. He told the jury how important he was. He told them how much the generals had improved since he took over. He suggested several times that he alone had kept the league alive. The NFL's lawyers let him talk. The jury deliberated for 30 hours. On July 29, 1986, they delivered their verdict.
We find the National Football League guilty of willfully acquiring and maintaining monopoly power in professional football.
$4 billion. I'm going to frame.
We award the plaintiff damages of $1.
$1?
$1.
Not $1 billion.
$1.
Not 100.
$1.
Under antitrust law, that $1 was automatically tripled. Final award, $3. The USFL had spent millions on the lawsuit, bet its entire future on the outcome, won the case on the legal merits, and received an amount of money that would not cover the taxi ride home from the courthouse. One juror later explained the decision with a clarity that still stings. We felt the USFL had a case in theory, she said, but they destroyed themselves. $1 seemed right. Here is the thing about the $3 verdict that the headlines always miss. When the USFL folded, hundreds of people lost their jobs. Staff, coaches, team employees, people who had nothing to do with the lawsuit or the fall schedule decision or Trump's ambitions. Investors who had put real money into franchises lost it all. Cities that had built genuine communities around their local teams, the Tampa Bay Bandits, the Philadelphia Stars, the Michigan Panthers, lost those teams overnight. And the players. Young athletes, some of them on the cusp of real careers, suddenly had no league to play in. Some made it to the NFL. Many didn't. The window closed. The USFL wasn't just a business story. It was, for 3 years, real football played by real people with real fans who cared. The first season was good. The second season was good. The league worked when it followed the plan. It was one decision made by one man for his own reasons that unraveled it. Six days after the verdict, the USFL officially suspended operations. The planned fall 1986 season was canceled. Teams folded within weeks. And the NFL, which had just been declared an illegal monopoly in a federal court of law, went on to have perhaps the most successful decade in its history.
Oh, that's fine then.
The USFL appealed the damages award. Courts disagreed. The verdict stood. 4 years later, the Supreme Court allowed the ruling to stand. Including interest, the NFL eventually mailed the USFL a check for $3.76. Paul Tagliabue, the quiet lawyer with the color-coded binders, was so respected for his performance in the trial that he was named NFL Commissioner in 1989. He went on to run the league for 17 years. David Dixon, the man who invented the USFL, never received credit or compensation for what his idea became. He had already been gone for 2 years when it collapsed. John Bassett, the owner who had fought hardest to keep the league in the spring, died of brain cancer in May 1986, 2 months before the verdict. He never saw the outcome of the disaster he had tried to prevent. And Trump? Trump walked away claiming victory. He told reporters he had gotten $1 billion of free publicity from the whole episode. He tried several more times to buy an NFL team, the New England Patriots, the Buffalo Bills. The NFL consistently said no. He was effectively blackballed from ownership for his role in the lawsuit. He never did get his NFL franchise.
I still might. I might.
Here's the genuinely strange part of this story. The USFL lost. It folded. It received $3. And yet, in a very real sense, the NFL you watch today is partly the USFL's creation. The two-point conversion, the instant replay challenge, the coach's red flag. All of these things were invented or pioneered by the USFL and eventually adopted by the NFL. The league that destroyed the USFL spent the next 30 years borrowing its ideas.
Steve Young, who played for the USFL's Los Angeles Express, went on to win 3 Super Bowls with the San Francisco 49ers and enter the Hall of Fame. Reggie White became one of the greatest defensive players in the history of the sport. Jim Kelly led the Buffalo Bills to 4 consecutive Super Bowls. The spring football model itself has been tried repeatedly since 1986. The XFL, the Alliance of American Football, the new USFL relaunch in 2022. Each one trying to do what Dixon planned to do in the first place: own spring, leave fall to the NFL. Dixon was right. There was a market for spring football. There still is. He just made one mistake. He let someone else buy into his league. On some date in 1990, after years of appeals, the NFL sat down and wrote a check to the United States Football League in the amount of $3.76. The USFL had spent approximately $6 million on the lawsuit. They had lost hundreds of millions building the league. They had turned down $175 million in television money. They had bet everything on a verdict that was supposed to deliver $4 billion. They received $3.76. The league that had signed Reggie White, Steve Young, Jim Kelly, Herschel Walker, and Doug Flutie, that had averaged 25,000 fans per game,
that had been genuinely and by measurable evidence a working sports league, received $3.76.
Should we frame it?
The league doesn't exist anymore. Who would we give it to?
I don't know. Trump?
No.
And so the United States Football League passed into history, remembered, if at all, as a cautionary tale about ego, ambition, and what happens when one person decides their personal goals are more important than the thing everyone else built together. The check, by the way, was never cashed. Now, the story of the USFL ends there. But the story of men trying to challenge the NFL does not. In 1999, a man named Vince McMahon, yes, that Vince McMahon, the professional wrestling guy, announced he was starting a new football league. He called it the XFL. He had a television deal. He had stadiums. He had a plan. And he was going to do it differently. He was going to learn from the USFL's mistakes. He was definitely, absolutely going to learn from the USFL's mistakes. The XFL's first season drew 10 million viewers per game. The second season drew 2 million. The XFL folded after one season. But that is a story for another time.